When you want the perfect seam allowance on the BERNINA L890, reach for the seam guide. Now, this will just be in your box, and I will tell you that I have to usually look at it a couple different ways to realize which way and how to put it on. So first off, if you actually hold it, so the squeezy part is at the top, you're going to find that this part here actually is what goes around this part of the serger, kind of the part that is right next to your knife. So as you're coming down, you can place that in place, squeeze it, and as it attaches, it's actually movable left and right. So how do you know which seam allowance is going to be ideal for your project? If you find yourself with, say, a 5/8 seam allowance on the project, well, some of that's going to be caught in the overlock edge and some of it's going to be cut off. And having a little place to guide the edge of your fabric for that perfect amount is ideal. So what you want to do, like right now I just have the right needle in, but if I had the left needle in, what I would do is actually measure from the outside needle, so left needle or right needle, whichever one is outside for you, and measure all the way over to how much your seam allowance is, and then you can adjust that for the proper cutting width. Then just lay your fabric right here, and you'll have the perfect amount cut off and measured into the seam for the final perfect result. Now we are going to talk about cutting width and how and why you don't usually ever want to remove your cutting blade, but I use that as a visual guide. So let's say I don't want to cut anything off at all. One thing I can do is actually move this all the way over and have my fabric guided so it actually is next to the knife and not like getting cut off at all. So say if I just have not a lot of seam allowance and I need just a little shave off the edge of the fabric. But what you want to do is don't ever remove that knife. I know sometimes you'll hear teachers talk about that. Here's what happens if you do. If that knife is not there and your fabric drifts to the side where it would have cut off, it will get in the way of the loopers. And that becomes kind of a machine hazard and could damage those. So I always say if you don't want to cut anything off, guide your fabric along the knife, or like we did, put the seam guide and guide it so, or position it so it's right in front of the knife, and voila, you don't have to ever worry about having your fabric drift into the wrong position and get caught with the serger. So the seam guide, you probably do like to have it on. Do keep in mind that if it's on, you will have to kind of like make sure it clears to come all the way off. It definitely is. If it gets too, oh no, most of the time it's going to clear off. But you can easily pop it on and pop it off. Once you use it a couple times, you kind of know which way to position it for easy on and off assembly. I hope you're checking out all of our videos on the BERNINA L890 and learning this machine from A to Z.